right now I'm part of the Wear OS team, so developing everything that comes as a software on the watch.
Hey everybody, Mihai. I'm a software engineer TLM. I'm mostly working on migration of the health platform from the legacy Fitbit infrastructure to Google.
Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Catalin. I'm a technical program manager and a people manager for technical program managers at Google. 7 years and counting. I was part of the original Fitbit team, so part of the Google acquisition. Right now, I focus my attention on sleep features in the Fitbit app, as well as health features on the Google Pixel Watch. But throughout the last 7 years, I've touched most of the areas in health and fitness, so extensive experience there. Thank you.
Cool. Now you've met us. Before giving the mic for you to have any questions, I have a few already prepared, like a bit of an icebreaker. So I have one question prepared for all my colleagues, and I'll start with Catalin. He has the mic over there. One characteristic that we all share as Googlers is named googliness. And I'm curious to see if Catalin can share more about how he understands and sees googliness and how he rates it, both as a manager, but also maybe during interviews or other areas as well. So Catalin, if you can describe a bit what googliness means to you, that would be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So that's a weird term, googliness, but you're all here, so you're primed to become, candidates and maybe future Google employees. So it's good to get like a quick glimpse into what googliness means. I've been interviewing for the past 4 or 5 months for technical program manager positions at Google in Bucharest. So googliness is one of the aspects I look for in candidates. So for me, googliness means being proactive, making everything around you better, and treating people with respect. So being proactive means, you might find yourself during the random day just opening up the laptop, reading all your emails, going through your tasks, and then finding out that you don't have that much to do. Being proactive is trying to identify what are 1, 2, 3 actions you can do today for yourself, for your team, for your product to make things better, right? So I touched on points 1 and 2 of googliness. And the third one, which is treat people with respect. Obviously, we are in a fast-paced environment, technology, building products at scale, integrating LLMs, artificial intelligence in products at Google. There's a lot of pressure. It's very easy to get yourself overwhelmed and stressed out and lash out at people. That's kind of a big no. So I look for, in candidates, I look for situations where they had to manage increased periods of stress while treating people with respect and making everything around them better. Themselves, their team, and their product. So I ask open-ended questions which are either situational or hypothetical based on the candidate's experience. Because if they have an extensive experience, they have situational examples where they manage through these actions. If they don't, they have hypothetical examples they may give of how they would manage such challenges.
Awesome, thanks Kata. The second question for Mihai. Yeah, please build on that.
Does googliness go as far as, you described like, I look through my inbox, etc., and then I have time left. Like, that's like, I really want to work at Google if that ever happens, because I have quite a career and it never happened to me ever. And so, but if you look through your calendar, you may say, you know what, I can keep myself busy with all of this. However, I heard from a colleague that they're in trouble, or I heard from different priorities. Does googliness also then include saying, what I have is actually of lesser importance for the bigger whole than helping somebody else right now?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I will give you kudos of, yes, that almost never happens. It's a silly example, but it's one that leads towards the proactivity aspect that I look for in candidates. So yeah, if you think about all the teams that are working together to build a great product, such as this one or whichever software one you want, you often find yourself in a situation where it becomes like a relay race. Like I run, along the circuit and try to unblock, remove blockers for the next person that's going to run after me. So yes, being proactive doesn't only mean I agree with you, not just trying to make yourself better and your team better, but also removing roadblocks from other teams. So yeah, agree with that.
I also want to build on that answer. So there are 3 key values that you learned in your first month at Google, which are respect each other, respect the user, respect the opportunity. So even for me as a PM, I find myself multiple times working with other product managers, working on other teams and other products, and we need to balance what is right for each of us, for our teams, but also for our users. So I found myself in positions where I had to deprioritize some of the things I wanted to build because it made more sense to invest in their product and their area. So I think that stands as part of the everyday Googliness, if that may count as well. Thank you. The second question for Mihai is, how do you tackle everyday challenges as an engineer at Google? And automatically, how does your day look like as an engineer at Google?
So I'm going to give you 2 answers, and I'm going to base it in time. First, I'm going to refer when we joined Google as Fitbit. I was part of the Fitbit organization as well. And there was a huge amount of information that we had to be like some sponges and get all the information, and to understand that we were coming from a world that was using a lot of open source, and we were joining a company that built themselves almost everything. There were almost no open source inside, even though Google develops a lot of open source for the world. That was very challenging. That mostly faded away. So right now, I think all the engineers on our floor are really accustomed with the tools and with the way we do things. Fortunately, the culture of Fitbit was very close to the culture of Google, both from cultural side, but also from the way of doing things. Even though Fitbit was a way smaller scale, there were a lot of technical decisions along the way that we copied Google pretty much on some areas. And then I will go to the present day when we are in this modern day of AI, and it's a challenge to integrate AI into our workflow, even if it comes from just writing code to making design docs, which is a big part of what I do. If you ask me what I do every day, it's the biggest part of like I said, what I do. And yeah, this is like another challenge of how faster can we go from this point of view, and how much we can integrate AI in our day-to-day job.
Thanks, Mihai. And the last question for Ilona that I had prepared, or I have a few more, but hopefully we can get more out of you, is one of our mission is to build for everyone. And I know Ilona helps me a lot to understand users all across the globe. So I'm curious, how do you make that happen? How do you generate insights from users everywhere, from different backgrounds, different types, and you help teams all across the globe as well to develop something great for them?
So as it was mentioned before, one of the core values at Google is to respect the user. It's actually the first value listed on the company list. And although I worked in this field before with other companies, I see that at Google we have a UX researcher team of thousands of people. I mean globally, but also here in Romania, we have a very consistent research team. And our focus is simply understanding user needs, motivation, behavior also, but this goes, as amazing as it sounds, individually. So usually we focus on user interviews, and we scale only after we have some assumption already about the people and their needs. And it's not like market research in general, where people look at the market and what are the needs of the market, but we actually look at the individual needs. So when it comes to smartwatches, or even using Chrome or Calendar or whatever of our products, there is a very strong team behind that really emphasizes with the users and goes at the granular level in understanding their needs. Later on, this is actually scaled, and we will have a topic tomorrow, a workshop around that. And scaling happens through quantitative methods whenever we are surveying people or looking at data from our sources. And we take this at another level. And also, because Google is already a global company, we are looking for different markets. Usually the top markets, obviously, where our products are selling, but not only. So we try to understand how people adopt technology and how they're using different products, depending on their cultural context, on their location. Recently, I was just telling one of my colleagues that we have been at Berlin and we have been looking at the fitness market to simply understand how people in Germany think about fitness in general and what are their basic needs in their families. We actually did an ethnographic study. We visited family homes and we looked at their habits, we looked at the gyms, how people are attending the gyms and what are important for couples, for instance. So yeah, and later that research was actually taken at the global level, further on from EMEA. So my colleagues went to Tokyo, they've been in Americas, and they looked at different aspects. But yeah, I'm actually very proud of this fact of being part of a company that really looks at the user at such a granular aspect. It's quite an amazing job for me, honestly.
Thanks for sharing, Ilona, and thanks for helping me all the time with those insights. And yep, this was an intro. We would love to hear questions from you. We are all coming from different backgrounds and different roles, so yep, please, we are here to answer. We also have goodies for the bold ones, so if you ask us a question, you may receive something at the end, so please, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Vlad. I am working on Android for the Fitbit app. I work on the primary surfaces, so the first screens that you're going to interact with. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Right, Ludovic, I'm a project manager. Question is mainly for Catalin. It's been more than 10 years I'm project manager. Next step for me would be program manager. And I was wondering what was your step to move forward until program manager in Google, because it's the holy grail of technology in IT. So I was curious about your background and how did you achieve this and what would be your next steps?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So it's basically the move from project manager to program manager is a combination of strength and opportunity, right? Because if there's no opportunity, there's no move, right? So I started at Fitbit actually as a Scrum Master and Agile coach, and I transitioned to technical program manager because there was an opportunity, but the role wasn't very much different. I used to work on security features such as, user access, multi-factor authentication, small things, but important, right? At some point, there was an opening to manage a global kind of project, which was across time zones, and it was a fitness tracker. Fitbit is famous for its fitness trackers, right? So one of these fitness trackers has hardware built in Taiwan, software on the device built in Bucharest, and then everything else regarding connectivity with the app built in Mountain View, California. So if you think about it, it's managing multiple teams globally to deliver a program across a year, from hardware to device software to cloud software to mobile software. So there's a lot of complexity. Technically, there's a lot of complexity. Culturally, there's a lot of complexity because there's multiple teams involved, right? So I don't think there's, in Google, I don't think there's like training for that. You basically, at some point, there's an opportunity, you step up, you do the job, you get coached into it as well if you're required to, so I had great coaches. But what I try to do with that opportunity to make sort of like my transition successful into the program manager role was to sort of like build this global team as a relay race. So I'll go back to the metaphor I mentioned before, right? Think about somebody waking up in Taiwan, doing some work, right? That was on their backlog, and then also removing a couple of roadblocks for somebody in Bucharest to wake up and do some work because they were unblocked, and also removing some roadblocks for somebody in California who wakes up, does, and you go on and on and on. So sort of like having that as a goal, putting it in practice, made us deliver above what we were expected to across the program. and sort of like I've just been building on from there. In Google, because there's like so many employees, the TPM community is huge. I don't know, it's like 15,000 TPMs, it's something crazy. There's a lot of coaching you can get. There's official programs you can get. So it's a good opportunity to enter, come join the interview. And then you can get coached into whatever you want to become. Thanks for the question.
Just to add something on top of what Catalin said, because I work with him and many other TPMs as well, I think what I would expect from a program manager is to step up. Basically, that's where I expect the program manager to partner really closely with me, with the engineering manager, even with the UXD, to represent us in all the forums without us going there. Because for me, my calendar has like 4 meetings at the same time. I cannot be in all 4 of them. But I will know that I can count on Catalin or other TPMs to represent the team over there. So that's where you get into the details and what's happening. So I think that's another superpower of the program manager, is that they know all the areas in and out. So I hope that helps as well. Thank you for the question.
I would like to add something to that. So whenever you see a job posting, I feel at Google, especially that certain roles have very specific titles or description, look into detail what are the skills and qualities they are looking for. So yeah, it's exactly what Daniel was saying, what he tries to get from program manager. Like, think about your own skills and try to build up those skills.
Awesome. Other questions? We are eager for more.
With such a large organization, does it happen that you develop multiple prototypes or work, and in the end only one is useful or put into product? I always asked, I see a few Google products or Apple or others, but it's a huge people count number.
Do you want to get started, Ilona?
Yeah, I can start there because it's my expertise, the part of the research. So before even starting to build prototypes or ideas, as I was saying earlier, we are trying to understand the needs and what is behind. So the very basics. And last year we had here a great workshop on critical user journeys. And when we say critical user journeys, this is a concept actually developed at Google. And one of the things we were encouraging the participants from that workshop wasn't to think features, and I try to push that always on the product managers also in their academy that they are running. So don't put the feature mindset into the team. We think about needs and goals and what they want to achieve. So yeah, let's take the smartwatches. We are not thinking what should it have. Should it have tiles or what should be on the watch face or so on. We need to think, what will people use this smartwatch for? Are they concerned about their health? Do they want to improve their fitness goals? Are they trying to have sleep tracking? Do they try to organize their own day and have a calendar on or a small phone on their watch? Or what is the goal? And we don't think feature. And after only we understand these basic needs, that's when we are trying to collaborate with designers, with the program manager, with PMs and so on. And we have already a solid knowledge of what the user would actually appreciate. And so the likelihood of building something that it's not going to be needed or used afterwards, it's minimal. And after that, we are taking the prototypes, testing it with users, running multiple iterations on it, and obviously we can go back and we can improve, but the basics need to be very well founded and have a solid knowledge of who your user will be and what you are addressing.
Just to add a bit more on what Ilona said and to add a bit more nuance, we are prototyping a lot, but in also different stages and different ways. One, we do lots of prototypes in terms of UX that we share in UXR sessions where we validate and A/B test different prototypes. So that's something we do early stage to minimize the risk. But we also do technical prototypes. So even this year, I have a challenge that I need to see how we can fix it, we are prototyping different engineering solutions in order to see which one would work. And some of those prototypes we are launching into our own program internally, which is called dog fooding, which is something that we do at Google for every product that we want to launch. First, we dog food it, which means that we, the employees, use it as much as possible to get data out of it before we launch it. So there are multiple ways to prototype, both technically and from user experience. So when we are using that as much as possible, and we consider it an investment. It's an investment that will help us diminish the risk of failing in production. So hopefully that answers.
I can also chime in from the software engineering side. Google is based on experimenting. This is like the core foundation of everything. Maybe if you know Google in the early 2000s, it was mostly engineers that were coming with ideas. They were competing to build the very same piece of software that in the end would be a product, and whoever did the best won, pretty much. And that culture is still somehow, even though we are now a larger corporation with more standardized ways of doing things, if I get an idea, I can just open my laptop, I have an experimental folder, I can start writing code in whatever language I want, even though maybe the final product will be in a different language, will look totally different, but I can prove the idea, and I can go to Daniel, for example, and show him, hey, what do you think? This can be a product at some point, and then he starts polishing it, and they go to Ilona and they look on the UX side, and so on. So this experimenting part is very, very important, and it's, like I said, it's really deeply rooted in the Google culture.
Thank you.
Hello. What do you think, or what's the idea about mistakes in general in your work, if you have something?
I can start very quickly, just. So I think I am the youngest in the team in terms of my tenure at Google. I've only joined 3 years ago. And I wasn't hired by Fitbit. I was already hired by Google. And my manager said that she wants me to learn things the Google way, meaning that I can ask as many questions as I want, and I want to do mistakes. So this was my manager the first day. She was an extraordinary lady. And I still feel the same, that there isn't such a huge mistake that you can do that someone will bite your head off. Obviously, there is a large team behind every product, and if the mistake is at such a level, definitely and hopefully someone will stop it along the way.
I agree. And I also think the culture of failing safely and learning something from it is very much alive. So I've told you before, I've interviewed for the past 4 months. I've hired 2 people, and because it's only the second time I hire in Bucharest, I went and looked for some advice from some senior, more tenured managers based in Mountain View. And asked them, hey, how should I coach these 2 new TPMs, which are quite junior, into onboarding into the Google culture? And they said, give them smaller projects that they can use to fail in order to learn something about the Google culture. So think about it. My manager advised me to onboard people onto my team by having them fail safely in order to learn something in the next 2 to 3 months, right? So that's the culture.
And to add even more on it, failures happen. Like we get, let's say, bugs in production, we get things that don't work. At the end of the day, we have something that we call a blameless retrospective, which every failure, every incident, everything that ever happened, it's documented. How did we get there? What happened? How we can improve? What we should know? What should we improve? And every employee has access to all of those. Like I can read something that went wrong in Google search and learn from it. So that's an awesome thing that we prize ourselves, and some of the founders of Google prize, like in the first 10 employees, founded this type of way of working. So I think that's awesome, and based on it, we turned some of the biggest failures or some of our mistakes into like great products or great processes. And for me, one of the best examples that I always tell is that Google Plus, the social network that was launched many, many years ago, even though it didn't succeed as a product, it turned out to become the foundation of Google Photos, which is one of the best products that we have in our portfolio. And that's what people, when I was talking with people that worked on that project initially, they were telling me like, yes, it went south, but we did the blameless retrospective and we built on top of that. So I think that's a great way to see it and to learn. But blameless is the key part.
I can also add on from the technical side on this whole blameless idea. We call them postmortems internally, and I guess we're not the only company that does that. And probably the key sections of that document that we build at that point is what went wrong, what went good, where we've been lucky. So learning from these three things, because sometimes things go bad, but they could have gone way worse than they've got. And iterating on this, it gets into your flesh, and you can, I don't know, when you build software, you start with these three things in mind, pretty much. What can go wrong, where we've been lucky, because that's like the part that we cannot control pretty much. And that's, it just happens, let's say.
Besides coverage, it also finds code that even though it passes through coverage, if it's removed, it doesn't fail any tests. So a combination of those with the blameless culture makes me confident in submitting and moving fast.
And we are continuing to develop these safety nets, pretty much. We have teams that are doing exactly this, thinking about exactly the safety nets.
Cool, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, considering the state of the market related to entry-level hiring right now, if Google Romania is still focusing on having also entry-level opportunities. And the second would be what you're looking for when you're hiring for entry-level, like what's the profile or some things that you look for in those people? So,
well, I can get started, and then, or Catalin get started. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go. So I love hiring entry-level, Googlers because they're self-motivated and they're highly productive, and I can see their potential career path, right? And I like coaching, like that's what I'm in this job for, to coach people into having better careers and better opportunities and be great overall in their lives. So I think what Google is looking for, me specifically, but also interviewers in general, is self-motivation, right? So we don't look for people necessarily who are extrinsically or exterior motivated, but are intrinsically motivated. They're curious, they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to move faster, do things, break things, build, contribute, build value, impact 1 billion users with the next feature, right? So that's the most key part. What was your second question?
Yeah, I asked like if you still focus on hiring entry levels considering the state of the market.
Yes, so I had one on that as well. So we've had 80 to 100 something roles open this year since January. There's a lot more open. Go on Google Careers, filter to Bucharest. There's a lot open. I would say almost half are entry-level positions. TPM as well as engineering and other functions as well.
To add on what Catalin said, so one, yes, we have lots of open roles across not only engineering, we have UX roles, we have product roles, we have lots of open roles in general. But the good part is, and to complement your question, is that we grew in a healthy way. We hire entry-level people, but we also hired experienced people as well. So we formed healthy teams with people that have lots of background knowledge and also experience, and put those in a mix of existing Googlers so that we can create a culture of growth for everyone. And I think that's the healthy way to scale the team and also the local side as well. We grew across 400 plus people from 300 that we were like 2 years ago or something like that. So it's growing at a steady pace, but it's growing in a healthy way. And we are committed to help the local market grow as well. That's why we are invested into talking with you folks, to joining any kind of sessions. So another great part of the Google culture is that we offer mock interviews. Like you can just do a quick interview without even counting for like the result. You just want to see you want to apply for all, you do the mock interview just to see what to expect, and it doesn't count like for the final grade. It's just for you to check how it is. So I think those are good ingredients to grow in a healthy way.
I'd also like to emphasize the mock interviews, and there's also another program called Google Champions, where potential candidates, they can hold an interview with one of the regular interviewers, and instead of just getting the exercise, solving it, they work with their interviewer to understand exactly how Google expects the result of that particular exercise. And there's Google Champions, or Google Champion, I cannot remember exactly, I think Champions, right? Which is focusing mostly on the, I will call it emotional part, for lack of a better word, of how a candidate should be prepared, what should they expect. Because in my personal experience as an interviewer at Google, I saw that this was like the biggest problem for the local market is how do you manage your emotions during the interview? The Google interview is in this mystical place that it's always hard. It's only you only get like tough lead coding questions, which is not true. At least in my case, I do not give lead questions. And that helps a lot. I see a lot of candidates which I know there were on the Google Champion waiting list or whatever it's called, and I see them now in the office. So I know there's some success there.
Thank you for the question.
Interesting. You said something that you also hired senior people. Do I still have a chance?
Sorry, can you...
So you said you also hired senior people. Do I still have a chance?
There's this whole thing that Google is open for everyone, for every type of people from all the backgrounds, all ages, and all of that. So of course you can still count. It's just the Googliness that matters. So come and join.
I think the Googliness I've covered, but the rest we'll see how we can challenge that. Any other questions?
Maybe I would also like to add here, I just remembered, if you fail an interview, it's not the end of the world. The Google train doesn't leave the train station and comes back. So you can apply again, and maybe you're better prepared, maybe you're in a better emotional
or for a better role,
or for a better role, or for a role that suits you better. So, because this is also something that I saw in candidates that they were really disappointed and they felt like the Google train has left the station and it's never going to come back, and that's not true.
Okay, with this question I will decrease my chance to get hired by Catalin because I'm been 20 years on the market. And for the second and third question, you said you have projects that lead to failure, so positive failure, time to code for yourself. So it's been 20 years I'm working, and all the company doesn't have this bandwidth, meaning you're here to do project. You don't have time to learn by yourself. You don't have time to do failure. How is it working for Google? Meaning, do you have a specific personal development time? Personal time to fail, or how does it work? Because we don't have a budget for this. Any company wouldn't do this.
I wouldn't say it's like mapped one-on-one in my calendar. This is like my time to fail, my time to learn, my time to do that. So it doesn't come like that. But we have the liberty, and we also have chances. So first of all, many people I know and lots of my mentors also said that I need to block in my calendar a few hours a week to work on product strategy and to learn. So usually I do that on Friday. I block like 3 or 4 hours without any meetings. I have auto decline on all meetings in that space, where it's just for me to have heads down space to work and learn. So that's something I can carve out because it's in the interest of the company for me to learn about the products I want to develop. So that's something I do thoughtfully. It's not like they've encouraged me to do that and I'm doing it thoughtfully, but it's not like my manager came and said, Daniel, you should put like 3 hours on this Friday to work on that. No, it's something I'm doing proactively. That's one. Second, there are multiple ways to grow through the programs that we offer internally. One, we have G-mentors, where you can find Googlers all across the world, all across the functions, to mentor you. I have a mentor for many years, and I also had like 3 or 4 mentees already, where I helped them grow in their career at Google. That's one. We have in our circles of trust, where you can go and speak about products and how to develop. We have workshops, we have get-together. So those are the things that they put at our disposal, but it's still us Googlers going above and beyond to make it happen. So they give us, okay, you can do that, but you need to do it. Being a mentor or finding a mentor, it's still a thing you need to do. So I think those are a few things that I would say. Exactly. They created a safe space. It's for us to go and use that safe space.
What I also want to add, on top of the programs that Daniel mentioned, there are like these hubs that are doing whatever you think of, from cooking to mentoring to whatever, which gives you like a feeling of belonging, which is really important. And also what I wanted to mention is like I think every employee, not only every engineer, has a 20% time where you can go we have like an internal job site, and you can look for 20% jobs, and 20% of your time you can allocate to whatever else you want. There are teams within Google that do not require a full-time employee to do a part of the job, and they are looking for 20%, and you can work remotely for someone from New York, for a team that has nothing to do with your current job. And that opens opportunity, creates connections, and so on. And networking is also a very important part in Google, especially at the highest levels. But the sooner you start, the better.
And just to add one idea, so when I started working at Google, we had around 6 or 7 weeks of time.
It's already on.
Okay, so when I started working at Google, we had 6 or 7 weeks of time for onboarding, which didn't only mean to go through the documentation and learn everything, which is very overwhelming at the beginning, but also to talk with people, to get to know people, to learn from them, and to, just accommodate yourself. And in about the first year, you are considered a noogler. This is another a thing that we use pretty often. And in that time, people usually expect you to do mistakes. So they just look at your profile and the company website, and they see that, okay, you are in the first year. Obviously, you will fail at something or not, but you will learn from your own learnings. But yeah, this noogler term is also very important. I would also like to emphasize on the mentorship, and especially if you are early in your career, you can always look for someone who is higher ranking and just to look for a long-term mentor.
I also want to add on this. Hi, I'm Mihai. I'm also working with my colleagues at Google. So we also have a very comprehensive feedback system. So either your manager asks your peers for feedback, or you can go proactively and just ask people you work with, hey, what should I improve? Well, preferably after you worked a bit with them. And then you can collect all this feedback, which is encouraged to be given openly and directly, and then you can choose what to do, what to improve. If you don't know what to do with the feedback, you can ask for mentors. So like there's everything in place for you to get the right feedback and act upon it. That's how it works.
Thanks for jumping in, Mihai. I know you said you may not join us, so thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. And before jumping to your question, we have lots of terms. We also have Googlers. Like if you have a dog, you can come with the dog at the office. So we have Googlers, and there's like Googlers group where people post pictures with their Googler and all of that. So
what's for the cat?
Muglers.
Kids, yeah, I was going to ask the kids.
There is a parent group actually for, and there is a lot of support given for people with children, and also for elderly parents, so for caregivers or so. These are all
Can I bring my mom to work or my dad?
It's just the group for parents, but you can definitely invite your relatives, your mom, to the office and walk her around. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she generally shows up with me at the office, and she loves it. And
We
today
love
I
it.
learned that in the newest office we have, we can also take the dog. So.
Okay. I just want to continue with the more practical stuff. And since we're talking about failures, I would like each one of you, if you want, to share with us an unexpected lessons you learned when you launched a product or you had an innovation project. Innovation process, sorry. I'm mainly interested in sustainability because I'm a PhD in sustainability in business administration, but any other answer is good.
I guess I can start. So
Which
I've
one,
been
Matt?
working on an internal projects. I won't get into details for obvious reasons. Long story short, it was doing a communication between like two realms. And the initial expectations was that was doing X number of QPS, which is requests per second internally. And it did like 20 times more. And that was huge because it was like triple the number of requests per second that Fitbit was generating before the acquisition. And even though we knew where this is coming from, it was something that was not expected. But on the other hand, we also planned for, we didn't plan for that particular number or for a high number, but we planned for growing, scaling. And this is, I'm linking this to the workshop tomorrow where we're going to discuss this actual scaling part. So there are a lot of moments, even though right now we are way more mature as a team in general, and we know how to plan for these things, but that was one of the the initial projects that we had after the acquisition, and it blew me away of the scale of how things are working.
And I actually, to add my part, I actually worked like a small 2 or 5% on a sustainability project at Google. Something I learned, and I had the learning out of it, was that you need to prepare yourself for things to go wrong. So you need to start and look at where things can go south and make a list before you start. And that's something we're going to talk again tomorrow by risk management. So I've learned a lot about risk management before starting something new, especially in a domain that I don't have like lots of background. So, and also trust my peers. Like having a team is always better. So that's something.
I would like to add something which is from a previous experience, and it's not so much sustainability focused, however, it can relate. I was outsourcing for a company and having projects for Facebook. And Facebook, probably you use it, has lots of features globally. And they had this personal fundraiser feature that still exists in many countries, but based on our work, the company realized that it's simply not working in lots of countries where the users simply don't believe in personal fundraising, and culturally it's not accepted. So we had people telling us that, hey, I would never go on Facebook and tell someone that I need money. My parents would freak out and they would never actually support this. So again, everything goes back also a little bit to understand your user base and who you are building for, and if culturally and locally, geographically, this is actually working for a specific culture. So always have that in mind.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not looking only for unexpected lessons you learned only from sustainability point, because sustainability not only about money, it's also about human capital and also about nature. So it covers most of your projects. It should be sustainability, not about how many paper you use. It's not matter, or the, I don't know, electricity you use. Maybe you stay up all night and work. I'm looking also about other. Everything is sustainability in there. So basically, what unexpected lessons you had, or you had in the last year on entire experience, I think it's good to be shared, because I feel that people here also need some on-point experience, not just general information.
You can always be surprised. Like literally.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't expecting to be here right now. I was pointing to be at the other parts. So basically.
Exactly. Like I've done like lots of preparations, lots of UXR, lots of dog fooding, lots of everything. Everything looked good. I launched the feature. It got zero traction because we were a totally different category of users and how we use some stuff than what we expected. So that's something that even though I did all my homework, I still failed. So that's where I am like, I need to surprise myself.
Okay, thank you.
So the first feature that I worked on that was delivered was the redesigned, as we call it, next bit UI of the app. And it turns out that users who are with the old app for many years have developed their own habits and expect things to not change positions. And even though we were aware of this change of version and added some onboarding screens, those are oftentimes skipped really quickly by users. And the reactions on Reddit after the release were surprising. And some of the critical user journeys were not finalized, or users could not complete them because, for example, editing the key metrics in the main screen had quite a tiny pencil which users couldn't find. So yeah, I learned that the onboardings are important and trying to make them in a fun way for users, it's really important for their satisfaction.
My name is Andrei. So I have got this story. Yeah, you can tell me if it's true or not. But he told me that at Google, they don't hire managers, they grow managers. So my question is, do you know if it's indeed, let's say, the law? Yeah, is that you grow your managers, or you know that there are exceptions and then you hire in managing positions?
Our team is hiring right now a manager in London, so.
And
yeah.
we have on our careers site right now open roles for engineering managers and all of that. So it's okay, lots of roles open, so.
Also think about it this way. Again, it's growing into the role of a people manager. It's a question of strength and opportunity. So you have to have the abilities, or at least show the traits that you could potentially be a decent people manager being coached into a great people manager. But not always it's the case. It's a 200,000 people company. It's very difficult for all the situations where you need a people manager locally for a team, you know, to find somebody internally. So yes, it happens very often that we hire managers externally at multiple levels even. Not necessarily so much VPs, but directors and all the levels, you know, down. Yes, we hire externally as well.
No, I mean,
but you might want to.
We are debunking myths, so glad we debunked this myth. Yeah, perfect.
But you can also train on becoming a manager. So yeah, and in the context of what we were saying earlier, there are lots of great opportunities for becoming managers. So yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned onboarding in Google. How does offboarding look in your company? What?
Who's the one that done GTA latest? Ilona, I think you're the one to.
Yeah. We are working also with lots of data, especially on my end, and we really respect everything that comes in relationship with our users and so on. So for instance, that is one very important aspect of my job, that whenever someone is leaving the team, what do they still have access to, and especially people profile and so on. Many times we don't even have detail to other aspects other than their first name or something like that. Also, now at the legal level in Romania, there are, The culture, yeah. And right now in my team, so I'm working on Wear OS, there are some changes, and colleagues from the London office are just simply transitioning to a different team. So that's also very often happening, to simply decide, or it just happened that you are ending your work in one organization and then you transition to the other. So this is something also happening, but usually I only see very friendly and, yeah,
So
positive
you asked more
experiences.
about onboarding into the company, right? Like a new employee, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things. One, mandatory trainings. That's something we
But
all need.
offboarding, she was asking
Off-
right now.
Offboarding,
Oh.
but not legal stuff.
Yeah,
Offboarding,
yeah. Like
okay.
culturally.
How do you
yeah.
treat people when they leave and this kind
We
of-
have a term for it as well, Zooglers. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And we know that in the media there are news that some colleagues departed from Google, like with layoffs and so on. Internally, we know that lots of them actually get back hired. So that also happens very often, that they are given other opportunities to join new jobs with simplified process, obviously, as they have already the knowledge and everything.
Yeah, and also one last thing is that usually there's also a small get-together. Everywhere people work, they invite their teams just to say goodbye and all that. And yesterday, one person I was working with had their last day, and they message us, and we write sign-off cards to them and to farewell, and lots of email chains with goodbye. So it's also a celebratory moment for the person that's leaving, because if they want something else or something, we encourage them.
Here's what I add. So if somebody in my team is leaving Google because they want to, I already know that they are Google capable because they were here and they were doing good work. So any day, I would love to have them back on my team. So I would do whatever necessary to make sure that they are as happy as possible, you know, with the setup of the team, with the support that they get, even, you know, transitioning to their new career, so that at some point, maybe they come back. Maybe they come back better and they contribute more, right? So, you know, no hard feelings.
Thank you.
Cool, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm Corina, I'm an HR person, and I was curious about how do you feel working at Google? How do you feel?
Grateful. I feel grateful, honestly. Like, there's a lot of pressure, long hours, you know, sometimes I go the extra mile, and that's not healthy, really. But I'm working in product development, integrating the latest technology into health and fitness, in my specific case, right? I don't think there's many opportunities like that, especially in Romania overall, right? So like having the possibility to impact so many lives positively. I'm not a doctor, I'm just an engineer, but still, like, it's a good opportunity, it's a good gig, right? So I still feel grateful.
I also feel grateful. Yeah, one of the things that it's a staple in Google is that everyone's voice is heard. So like, it doesn't matter if like the VP made a mistake in a document and the junior sees it and raises it, his or her voice or their voice is heard. And this gives you a feeling of security that's like it's a safe space to express your opinions, and this helps a lot. And yeah, it's hard. But it's also like you have a lot of support around you.
Since I joined my first job, like almost 10 years ago, I dreamed of being here. Even though the job is totally different than what I imagined, I still think that I'm doing the most awesome job in the world for my kind of personality and for my hobbies and for my way of life. I agree with Catalin, there are a lot of moments when it's 9 p.m. and I just close my laptop. There are stressful days. There are days when you just want to close the laptop at 2 p.m. That's so. I'm not gonna glaze it. There are moments which are hard, but I would guess there are like 20 days a year, while all the others are way more satisfactory. Yeah.
I think that for each personality, there is something there to find that will bring you joy and motivate you. And next to all the, I mean, and they do it on purpose. So there is good food, there is good coffee, lots of perks, and so on. You can travel to any of the Google offices, and if you are on your travel, you can still work from other offices and visit those offices, and they are fun. You can take your dog to work. For some people, that is really important. And there are lots of internal benefits. For instance, I've been just talking with my manager. There is something called a bereavement leave. So if someone passes away in your family or you have a loss or something, you are entitled to take 4 weeks fully paid time off, which is, I think, one of the unique benefits that we are getting, and obviously other financial ones. With this, I feel that my personality is about people, because I'm a UX researcher. I need to care about what people are thinking. But I feel that I've been grateful, just like Catalin and the others, meeting all the people in the Romanian office, my supervisors, managers, and so on. And I will be very honest here, and don't take me the wrong way. I've been working in a lot of companies in other fields in Romania, but I would never probably go back to a manager in Romania who is Romanian. And again, don't take me wrong from this perspective. They are great, and I'm not judging here anyone. But I feel that you are already formed in a way, and you got culturally something that is specific for Google. I mean here Romanian manager by the fact that they don't have very strong managerial formation. And I feel that people managers are very important to keeping the team culture at the lower and the very high level. And that reflects actually in our organizations that people are feeling safe. And everything we discuss about, it's about the culture and having a strong culture. And I feel that hopefully each of us is happy with their manager, Romanian or not, but I'm referring to the culture.
What I also like to add about managers, each manager, no matter what they're doing or what their position is, they have to do 20%, 50% of the work of a technical. So I'm talking about the engineering org. Me as a manager, I have to do 50% of the time to be a developer. And that creates a lot of connection with other people that I'm not just a people manager, I'm also in their shoes, and that's really, really important because I see that my manager is also doing technical work. Probably he's not doing 50%, probably he's doing 20% because he has way bigger report chain, but the idea of getting in the shoes of your people, it's really important.
Thanks, thank you. And looking at so many watches on our wrist, I'm really happy to see that we spent almost double the time. We had 30 minutes, but we got lots of questions and we got 1 hour. I hope the time was worth for you as well. For us, it was fun. And that's another perk we have, coming to those events and interacting with you folks. And thank you for joining us today. We have another workshop tomorrow, I think at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Look for us. 2:30, so after lunch, so please join us tomorrow as well. We have lots of things prepared. So again, thank you. We have some goodies, especially for those of you that stayed all the way through, so thank you so much.